Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Baharaka Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of GMS, Great Millstone, who teach and rule well and continues to teach and rule well through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Peace, love, and salutations to the 144,000 Israelite elect men who are standing stiffly for the names of Yahweh and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, especially in these times. To you I say Shalom. Peace, love, and salutations also to the large multitude, spoken of in Revelations chapter 5 and 9, also Revelations chapter 7 and 9, consisting of Israelite men, women, and children who are true and sincere believers, helps that makes up the Lord's hopeful elect. To you I say Shalom. This is Nahal from the GMS Jamaica camp, going into Jamaican government launches National Digital Identification System. Jamaican government launches National Digital Identification System. Now, before I go into it, let me start out with a scripture. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch, and will set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Now, this vision speaks to the prophecies written in the scriptures, right? And one main prophecy that is written in the scripture to be, that is to come to pass, it is Revelations chapter 13, right? Revelations chapter 13, and I'll just read it verse starting at verse 16. He says, and he calls it all. Let me start at verse 15, right? I start at verse 14. He says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And this he, as it says, and deceiveth them which dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, speaks about the beast that is now in power, which is NATO, the EU, which is spearheaded by Esau, Edomites, the so-called Caucasian white man, the elites of them, the international banking families. We're talking about the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, right, the Gettys, so on and so forth, right? And these men or these families, these international banking families, they are the ones who, um, people would refer to them as the shadow government, right? They are the ones who, give out orders to persons such as the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and subsequently all of these leaders of these various nations, especially out here in Jamaica, because the NATO and the EU, which is the beast spoken of here in Revelation chapter 13, where it says he caused all both small and great, rich and poor to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. In verse 16, this beast that it speaks of, which is NATO and the EU, also works with other, should I say, let's say institutions such as the World Economic Forum, the United Nations also, right? And when you look at the World Economic Forum and the United Nations so-called Sustainable Development Goals, as you can see in on the screen, Vision 2030 Jamaica, right? Speaks to the sustainable development goals that are being pushed, that are being trying that the UN, the World Economic Forum, they are pushing these so-called sustainable development goals. They are pushing the agenda for Vision 2030, and within that agenda comes a digital society that we hear our government speak so much about, right? In the launch of this national identification system, which is a digital national identification system. This is the quote that was made. It says the NIDS, the National Identification System, provides the basis on which we can now claim to be a digital society. Sorry, I thought I was sharing this. Let me pull this up right back. Right. It says needs. Right. It says the needs provides the basis on which we can now claim to be a digital society. Right. So the World Economic Forum, as you can see right here, this is from, I stopped sharing again. Forgive me. Let me pull this up. As you can see right here, this is from the World Economic Forum, right? And they work in tandem with the why do I keep on stop sharing? Forgive me. They work in tandem with the United Nations to push forward the Sustainable Development Goals. As you can see right here, Vision 2030 Jamaica and the Sustainable Development Goals, right? Now, it says in 2015, Jamaica, as a part of the 193 member states of the United Nations, the UN, adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals, so our development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This landmark agreement envisions the creation of a better world that is free of poverty and underpinned by universal peace, equity, and inclusion. And of course, they're going to paint this narrative of saving the global population, but ultimately it's an agenda, a system, the image of the beast that is spoken of right here in Revelation chapter 13 that they are trying to accomplish, right? Which that image speaks of the digital system that they are implementing, right? The new world order, the digital system that will be used to govern the new world order agenda that they're pushing, within which the RFID microchip will be the major, one of the main components of that digital system, right? Which that RFID microchip, it is the mark of the beast spoken of in Revelations chapter 13. Let me pull up a still of the RFID microchip, because the NIDS is not the mark of the beast, but it is the infrastructure, right? The framework upon which the mark of the beast will be implemented, because the NIDS, and this is the mark of the beast right here, right? The NIDS will be gathering all of your information that will be implemented on this small device, because the NIDS is a national digital identification system. And when we look into what digital identity is, right, which I'll be going into this, but since I'm here, I'll just go into it, right? When you look into what national identity is, and again, this is from the World Economic Forum, right? Um, Digital identity, it encapsulates entities, people, devices, things. When you look at healthcare, it speaks of for users to access insurance, right? Treatment to monitor health devices, wearables for care providers to demonstrate their qualifications, right? When we look at financial services, it says to open bank accounts. So this is what the digital identity will be used for. Your digital identity will be used for. You're going to need a digital identity to, participate in these various areas, in healthcare, financial services, as it says, to open bank accounts, to carry out online financial transactions. Food and sustainability goes to for farmers and consumers to verify provenance of, and I'm reading the fine print right here. You may not be able to see it on your end, but it's bear with me. It says for farmers and consumers to verify provenance of produce to enhance value and traceability of in supply chain. So, farmers, consumers, you're going to need a digital identity, right? It says travel and mobility, you're going to need an identity for that, digital identity for that, to book trips, to go through border control between countries or regions, because even that will be, sought to be controlled by the enemy, Esau, Edom, how far you can travel, where you can travel to, the reason for traveling, right? And it will all be monitored and tracked, and approved or declined based on whether, whatever stipulations they may set up. So what's coming, this digital society, this digital system that is being talked of by our leader, the Dr. Honorable Andrew Holness, as his title goes, it's not one within which he himself or his government or the government of Jamaica overall thought up, right? Thought of, right? It is one that is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, in line with the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, which Jamaica, as I just showed you right here, is a, as it says, is a part of the 193 member states of the United Nations, right? So let's go right back to this and let's just finish this. It says for humanitarian response, it says to access services, to demonstrate qualification to work in a foreign country. So for if you need humanitarian aid, whether it be charity, whether it be aid for, let's say, some form of natural disaster strikes and you are left without, if you're going to receive humanitarian aid at all, you're going to have a digital identity to receive such. And you have e-commerce, which says to shop, to conduct business transactions, and secure payment, right? And when we go into, this video that I have here, you know, our leader, our Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, he will speak on a lot of these things that I'm bringing out right now. Right, he will speak about how you can use the national identification system, which is a digital identification to, shop online, to be digitally verified. You know, it says social platforms for social interaction to access third-party services that rely on social media logins. Also, to access a social media platform, you're going to need a form of digital identification that can be tracked and laid right back to you. So you can't have a miscellaneous or a dummy account, stashed off somewhere that you can use to, either comment on something secretively. All comments, all uploads, whatever, even what you watch will be tracked right back to you, because the type of system that's coming is one within which the enemy, Esau, Edom, the so-called Caucasian white man, the elites of them, the devil, as scripture refers to them as, they want the capability to know what you are interested in, right? What you like, right? What you dislike, what you watch, what you spend a certain amount of hours watching, doing on the media, or they want to know and be able to track you, right? It says e-government. It says for citizens to access and use services, file taxes, vote, collect benefits. So there's going to come a point where, hey, just to even vote, you're going to need to have a digital identity, right? To file taxes, to access government services, and also to collect government benefits, you're going to need a digital identification. In other words, you're going to have this this small card, right? The national identification card, that is, right? Even to collect, very benefits, and this card right here, right? And we recently had a disbursement of they call it, from the Minister of Finance, the Ministry of Finance, a reverse income tax payment in which, those who, for the year of 2023, if you were earning less than $3 million, per annum, you would be qualified for a 20,000 reverse income tax benefit from the government, right? So benefits like these in the future, you're going to need to have a digital identification to partake in that, right? Now going right back to this slide again, telecommunications, it says for users to own and use devices, for service providers to monitor devices and data on the network. So, and even with that reverse income tax, benefit payout, I personally, through the spirit, believe that this was strategically released, on the advent of the the national identification system being launched out in Jamaica. It's a means to push, and also to, what should I say, stimulate the Jamaican public to, accept the national identification system, which again, the national identification system, which is a digital identification database, it isn't the mark of the beast. It is just that the database, the framework, that the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, will draw upon in order to store your information. All of this, the digital identity which will be tied to you, which will contain all of these information, will be stored on this small device right here. Ultimately, this is where it leads to, right? So all of this information, healthcare, financial services, food and sustainability, travel and mobility, humanitarian response, e-commerce, social media, e-government, telecommunication. So that's, you being able to make and receive, send out calls, you be able to sign up for Wi-Fi services, cellular data services, etc. You're going to have a digital identification for that. Smart cities to monitor devices and sensors transmitting data such as energy usage, air quality, traffic, congestions. So all of this will be stored onto, will be a part of your digital identification, right? Which will be at first be stored on this card, right? This card right here, but ultimately will be moved over to this RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast spoken of in Revelation chapter 13, which we will be going back into. It's just that the Spirit is on me to just get into the information and get out. I want to go into this as well. This is from the um the office of the Prime Minister, right? Going into the National Identification System NIDS. And I'm just going to get to the point on this. It says, what are the objectives of NIDS? To establish, oh, sorry, let me pull this up. Again, this is from the Office of the Prime Minister, National Identification System NIDS. All right. What are the objectives of NIDS? To establish a reliable database of Jamaican citizens and other individuals ordinarily resident in Jamaica with a unique national identification number as the primary key identifier of a person in the system. So you will have a primary key identifier in this digital system, and in this digital database within which all of your information will be stored, right, and be tracked and monitored, because it will be built upon a system similar, if not a blockchain system, a system similar to that, within which all information, all data can be tracked and referred to, and data cannot be erased or deleted. It will be really difficult for you to delete or erase certain data. You're going to have a digital footprint, right? So it says to enhance the efficiency of the and effectiveness of government entities, management and delivery of government services to the public, right? To enhance program benefits such as national insurance scheme, national health fund, welfare, e-government, with the use of the NIN, national identification number, creating a linkage between entities providing the following services, and then you're going to citizens to government, government to government, government to business, government to citizen. So the way, and these are all government payments basically, so our transactions. So citizens to government transaction, government to government transaction, government to business transaction, and government to citizen transactions, among others, to facilitate the growth and development of commerce and economic activity through the provision of greater security and integrity for public partnerships, to enhance government's ability to secure compliance with critical obligations to the state, to include tax collection, amongst others, strengthening of immigration, border control, and it's the same, that when you look into the national identity, sorry, the digital identification outline, brought to us by the World Economic Forum. These are the same, what should I say, components, that are being spoken of right here in the, from the Office of the Prime Minister in relation to what the needs, will be the benefits that the needs would be providing, so-called benefits, I should say, because the scripture tells us in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and 10 to never trust thine enemy. Because yeah, they're going to speak about the convenience that such an implementation would bring, but ultimately this is all to ensnare and trap you, right? And trap you into a digital economy, a digital system within which you will be again tracked and monitored, just similar, very similar, to what's happening right now in various parts of China and their social credit system, where peer persons are being blacklisted. They can't take trains, they can't purchase certain items from the supermarket, they can't go to certain areas. Their faces are being broadcasted in theaters on the streets in China, because of them doing certain things, like even just speaking out against the government, criticizing the government, right? And that's what we're heading into. It's a strengthening of immigration, border control, public safety, and national security. What are the benefits of NIDS? Reduce the need for, reduce the need to register for each benefit or obligation. Example, payment of property taxes or receiving part benefits. This will, among other things, simplify the government's process and eliminate costs incurred from paper purchases and other administrative tasks. So certain benefits will will become digitized, like the path benefits, payment of property taxes or paying taxes, digitized, receiving benefits, grants from the government, digitized. So you're going to need this national identification card to receive such. So right now they say that it's voluntary, but in a sense they're making it compulsory, leading up to it becoming mandatory. Or when it is compulsory, it's still in a sense, you still have the means to decide if you want to take it or not. But what they do is they revamp the infrastructure, the society, to let it be one that now requires more so this card, and now you are forced to start to sign up for it, because businesses, banks, stores, they can now say, all right, we no longer accept certain form of identification, you need to have the needs. And by process of what should I say, elimination, if that's the word, you are left in a position where you have to get the needs in order to buy, sell, whatever. you know that's what compulsory is. And then mandatory is by law you have to take it, you just have to, or else you know penalties can be brought against you, and that's where ultimately it's going to be brought to, concerning this device right here, right? So going back to the Office of the Prime Minister, it says assist in the fight against crime by providing the relevant authorities access to secure database which captures civil and biometric data for citizens and residents in Jamaica. Minimize the capacity for an individual to assume multiple identities, which has contributed to illegal activities such as money laundering, tax evasion, and credit card fraud. So no more gray areas, or no more you creating or having multiple identities, especially on social media. They want to be able to identify you through one centralized means, and also to track you and track all of your um, what should I say, behavioral patterns, or everything that you've been doing in society for for how long. So going into also, let me see what I have here. There's a few things, and then we have this the government of Jamaica speaking on the national identification card. I'll just play this video right here and let him speak on it, and then I'll get into the Revelation 13 and I'll close on this. Also, I do want to bring out this right here from the BOJ. This is dated July 10, 2024. The BOJ leads initiative to develop a centralized know your customer public utility system. So they're centralizing data, right? Especially in the financial sector, right? In banking, they're centralizing your data, right? Um, and also they speak of a database that will be used to store all of your information that will be used in this centralized utility system. Because when you read into what this is, it says the Bank of Jamaica is currently leading an initiative to develop a centralized electronic know your customer public utility system which will streamline and simplify the process for opening a bank account. It will also make it easier for every Jamaican wishing to do so to be able to switch their account to the bank, offering the best services and products. It says in such a system, the customer information that is required for various banking transactions is stored digitally in a database that is kept securely and confidentially by a central trusted authority, Dr. Clark said. And in my notes, which I guess it's deleted, but what I was thinking about is, could the NIDS be this national, this database that is spoken of, right? That will store all of your data, that is needed to open a bank account seamlessly. Because again, when I play this video right here, oh sorry, which I didn't realize I was sharing the screen. But when I play this video right here, you'll hear, the government, the prime minister of Jamaica speak about, the seamless nature by which you can open a bank account using this card. Right now, again, the BOJ is creating a centralized again developing a centralized know your customer public utility system, which will allow Jamaican citizens to open a bank account in whichever bank of their choosing seamlessly, effortlessly, and even switch from one bank account, one banking institution to the next seamlessly in a effortless manner. Because why? Because these banks will be sharing your information. So your information, your data will be gathered into a centralized database, which will be shared with all banks. Now, that is, one of the major, what should I say, operations, or one of the major implementations that will be made in regards to the digital identity and the digital economy or society. Your information being shared amongst various institutions, right? And that will be used as a means of regulating you. Also will be used as a means of, who knows, let's see if Jamaica will come in with a social credit system as well, within which, if you have one misdemeanor in one area, it will be broadcasted broadcasted across all various institutions, and as such you may be, quote unquote, blacklisted, or if not blacklisted, penalized in various institutions, right? But that is what is happening in the banking sector, and it may spread outside of that. That is what's happening in China, right? Companies are sharing the citizens' information, and if you're blacklisted, all of these companies have your information, and and that's how they are able to minimize or limit what you're able to do in that country. Not able to travel, not able to buy certain foods, not able to stay out after certain time, not able to go to certain events, areas like the movies, etc. in China, because why? All of these institutions are sharing your information, and they have, whatever so-called, wrong you've done, they have that on file against you. Also, it says when a customer, let me just jump down. This is what I want to bring out. So it says, so by collaborating with deposit taking institutions and utilizing know your customer information currently dispersed among public sector entities, the BOJ will utilize opportunities presented by the 2019 amendment to the Proceeds of Crime Act. These amendments facilitate the sharing of Know Your Customer information across banks. As a result, the Know Your Customer utility will streamline and expedite the process of identifying, verifying, and maintaining customer identities within the financial sector, service sector, he said. So, banks, financial institutions, as it says right here, deposit taking institutions, and um, are able to share your information due to the amendment that was made to the Proceeds of Crime Act in 2019, allowing institutions to share your data. Now, when we read this, there's a outline in this that I wanted to bring out. Right? It said, all right, all right. Oh, all right. So it's not that one. I think it's this one. Right? All right. Oh, all right. Where was this again? In one of these articles, he spoke about huh, hmm, I don't think it's this one. I think it's this one. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. Hey, Lords will, I'll find it, yo. Hmm. All right. Right, and the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, has funded the establishment of the National Identification System, and the World Bank is funding the implementation of the centralized Know Your Customer utility system spoken of by the BOJ. Give me a second. All right, I can't find I can't find the information that I wanted to bring up, but basically it speaks to I think it was the government, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, saying that the that legislations will be amended, to facilitate the push of the national identification system. Right, but hey, I'll play this and then I'll finish off on Revelation chapter 13.
We have several identification documents. We have passports, ID. We have several identification documents. We have passports, we have our electoral ID, we have our driver's license. None of them have the level of security that this card gives. But this card also gives an additional benefit. It allows for the conduct of digital transactions in a seamless way because it allows for digital electronic verification of the card. And that places us now in another step, which we call the digital society. So the NIDS provides the basis on which we can now claim to be a digital society. The digital society is one in which we are able to conduct transactions physically in person or virtually. And in fact, as all Jamaicans will see, most transactions are moving onto digital platforms. We conduct our transactions using digital platforms every day, whether it is we shop online, we pay taxes online, but with your digital ID, you will be able to do much more. The second important benefit of the card is the reduction of time it takes to conduct a transaction. Consider that you want to open a bank account and you're new to the bank. The bank has all kinds of regulations that makes it mandatory that they know their customer. And that know your customer requirement sometimes can be very involved. You are required to take in two or more forms of identification. You may have to have a justice of the peace verify your identification. And then when that is brought in, they may take a few more days to actually check to see that this is so. With the national ID, there is no need for that anymore.
Right, and again, remember the BOJ is designing or implementing or developing a electronic Know Your Customer utility system that will be a digital database within which all of your so-called required documents will be stored, to help or assist in the seamless what should I say, the seamless nature of opening a bank account, to open a bank account seamlessly, right? So again, the NIDS would that be the database, that the BOJ's Know Your Customer utility system will be built upon, right? But let's continue.
The verification of identification is almost instantaneous. And therefore, the law that supports the ID says that if you present your ID, no other form of identification is required. Let me repeat that. When you present your NIDS card, your national identification card, no other form of identification is required because this card has the ability to verify your identity on the spot. Now, that will just reduce not just the time, but the cost of identity verification. And that then puts Jamaica in another threshold of the digital society. So I'm very pleased today. And I'm going to be speaking more, obviously, about the card, promoting the card. And I'm very happy to see that our youngsters have been some of the first beneficiaries because the card is also built, the entire system is built to accommodate our youngsters as well as adults. It is meant to give every Jamaican verifiable and secured identity documents.
Right. And I found what I wanted to bring out also is this. It says he pointed out, speaking about the prior Minister of Finance, Nigel Clark, which has now left, due to being hired by the IMF, but the now Minister of Finance is Favour Williams. But it says he pointed out that the process will involve some necessary legislative changes and interagency collaboration to ensure success. And this is the implementation or the development of the centralized e-know your customer public utility system. So they are willing, to have legislation amended, policies amended to facilitate the implementation of um, these systems, digital systems, ultimately the implementation of the digital society. So going back to Revelations chapter 13, and I'll start at verse 14. It says, and he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live, and that image, that beast that had the wound by the sword did live is the ancient Roman Empire, which America, and this world that we're living in, is the revived Roman Empire, right? It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that image is this digital society that is being spoken of, this digital agenda, global agenda that is being pushed, you know. It says, and he caused it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And that mark, it is the RFID microchip. When you look into the word mark, going back to the Greek word charagma, it means what? A stamp or an imprinted mark. Let's look into what a stamp or an imprinted mark is when it comes down to branding. So this is a stamp, an imprinted mark, right? Right. So right here, look at this one. Stamp and imprinted mark. Let's say cattle. Right. There you go. You know, a branding, right? Now when you look into the sorry, I didn't realize I'm not sharing. So this is it, a stamp and imprinted mark, right? Branding. Right, look at this one right here, Well, you probably can't see that, it's a bit small, right? Now, when you look at the RFID microchip, that device being implemented on the skin, that bulge that you see right here, that mark that is left due to the incision of the skin, that is what the stamp is. That is what the right here. This is what the stamp is, right? Going back to Revelation, it says, of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. And Antichrist, it isn't one person that's the Antichrist that's going to come in the latter days. all those who are against the Son of the Heavenly Father, whose true name is Yahushai, you know, um, would be regarded as anti a Mashiach, anti the anointed, anti Christ. It says a mark branded upon horses, thing carved, a sculpture, graven work, an idolatrous image. So then when you go into the root word of the word karagma, you're going to have karax, which means what, a pale or stake or palisade or a rampart, and when you look into what this is, you're going to see this, right? These are pales, stakes, palisades, right, with a pointy edge. But what John saw was actually this right here. Oops, sorry. So these are pale stakes, palisades, right? See these with a pointy edge. These are stakes, palisades, pales, right? But what John saw, to liken this, to liken or to make mention of a pale or stake or palisade is, the syringe that is used to, inject, the syringe right here that is used to inject right here the right here, this, the RFID microchip under the skin, right? So John used terminology that he understood back then, he saw what looked like a pail to him, a stake, a palisade, karax. Now, when you go in further down into the root of the word karax, you're going to have the word grapho, the Greek word grapho, which means to write with reference to the form of letters, to delineate letters on a tablet, parchment paper, or other material. Commit to writing things not to be forgotten. Write down, record, and that's the data, the information that will be stored on this small device right here, right? Now going back to Revelations chapter 13, verse 18, it says, "Here is wisdom, let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, three score and six, which is 666, going into the Greek word chi psi stigma, right? Chi psi stigma, which speaks to, let's get into the word stigma, right? It says, a mark pricked or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belonged to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their god. So by you taking this device, this RFID microchip, or even the neural implant, that's you devoting yourself to the system, worshiping the image of the beast, worshiping Esau, Edom as your master and you the slave, you know. And as Revelation chapter 14 says, so Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9, it says, "And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice." Oh, sorry, let me jump to verse 9. All right, forgive me. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," so that's the neural implant or that RFID microchip, "the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Almighty, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb." So death, destruction is, painful. Judgment is reserved for those who, take this RFID microchip in service of the beast. So, Lord's willing, this was edifying. I'm going to close there, giving all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Baharaka, Kodash. Again, double honors to our apostles and elders of James, Graham, and Stone, who teach and rule well and continues to teach and rule well through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, love, and salutations to the Lord's hopeful elect. Shalom.